bit. The instigator of this particular round of unpleasantness is a creep who goes by the name of Jagdeep Jano, alias Joey Wickham, or what he claims is his real name, which is Jackson Stokes. Well, Jackson Stokes is a really well-known musician, so it's probably bullshit too. Everything about this guy is bullshit. He's an autogynephile. Well, you see, Jackson, we know what you are. You're a piece of shit. That's what you actually are. Jackson Stokes to be another autogynephile, poisonous individual. They're all poisonous individuals. Paul Britton, who also goes by the names of Sarah and Lynn Britton, and another extremely nasty one called Jackson Stokes, who also goes by the names of Joey Wickham and Jagdeep Jano. I've today received a specific threat from one of these. And actually this person is absolutely evil enough to try and do something about it. I have no secrets. I am who I say I am. I know where this person is. He knows where I live. The simple fact is that I would never actually cause physical harm to someone that I have an argument with. But this one would. This one is sufficiently evil to do that. So everything, absolutely everything, is going to go public. Okay guys, and remember, this particular one who's a problem, his name is Paul Britton and he lives in Wolverhampton in England. I have the full address. I think I even might have his phone number, you know. I'm going to return here today to a little incident that, you know, it's an ongoing saga actually, in which I have been the target of victimization by a seriously nasty autogynephilic male. Not really, you know, he's no longer a man because he's had his dick taken off. So, autogynephilic male, which has been going on for over a year now. I did nothing to cause this, by the way, as I explained before. All bark, no bite. You're too much of a pussy to even attempt to bring me down or character assassinate me. So you can stop with the empty threats, bitch boy. I always ran things in our group. P.S. Do you have AIDS now? Oh yeah, that's better. So what happened was, Kate gets to the Premier Inn, right? Meets up with Paul. They go to meet Kate's parents, and Kate's mother is absolutely horrified by this character. You know, it's like creeped out totally, as you would be. I mean, he's a very creepy man. And they went back, according to Kate, to the Premier Inn, got into the room, and at this point, Paul Britton starts to undress. You know, take all his clothes off, and Kate is like busy freaking out, going, "What is going on here?" I mean, you know, Paul doesn't have a penis, so it's not like it's rape. So something else was in his perverted little mind. If what I say is true, you are fucked, Paul. Paul Britton, Wolverhampton. Now here's interesting, because this person hates me so much, for no reason, but hates me so much, that he wants me to have HIV so I will die a horrible death of AIDS. That's what he wants. He wants this. He desperately wants this with all the passion of his heart, his nasty black little heart. Oh my God, please let him be sick. Please let him die. Let him die. Let him die. I'm not going to die for you, little man. Who is so deranged, whose lunacy is so developed, whose insanity is at this point that they would actually kill. They would wish death upon a person who's never done them any harm, just because, narcissistic rage. And I have it on very good authority. This person has actually attempted to take out a contract on me. I mean, in fact, there's the wankers out here. Give me a break. Anyway, truth is never defamation. Perfect defense against an allegation of defamation is the truth. You are fucked, my little boy. Stop bullying me. Stop trying to intimidate me. Leave me alone. I have said my piece. I suggest you listen. Oh, I'm going to do terrible things. I'm going to get somebody to come and beat you up. I'm going to get somebody to kill you. I'll make sure the AIDS takes you out. Fucking lunatic, this one. Paul Britton, living in Wolverhampton. The full address is on my website. rodfleming.com. It will be staying there. Just for clarification, Sam's was not the only penis that I fell asleep holding. I've done that with just about every ladyboy who's been a girlfriend of mine, because that's the way I like to sleep with spoons. And, you know, I have a rule, no clothes on in bed. So, as I say, your hand kind of falls over there and it's... Okay, not a problem. It's just not a problem. She's got a cock, so you might as well accept it.
Hello everyone and welcome to Rod Fleming Exposed Part 3, the premiere in Princess Predator. Now I've already on this channel made 2 videos about Rod Fleming. In the first, Rod Fleming Exposed Part 1, the biggest Discord monster, I showed a great multitude and plethora of wicked messages Rod's posted online and wicked incriminating things he said, showing that he is attracted to children. These aren't my words, these are things that he said on his Discord, on his blog, and most personally also on his YouTube. These are his words, not mine. He is a nonce that's been hiding in plain sight for too long. This isn't alleged or up for debate, I showed this comprehensively and completely in that video. Now that first video has actually been taken down off of YouTube because it showed inappropriate pictures of kids that Rod's posted online. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to censor those images and re-upload that in the coming days. In the second video, Rod Fleming Exposed Part 2, Justice for Sam, I gave a voice to the family of Sam Villasencio, Rod Fleming's fiancée who's passed away. Sam's family believe that Rod is culpable in the death of Sam, and also showed that he's been cheating on Sam before Sam passed away. I also showed exclusive footage from a secretly recorded video call I did with Rod, in which Rod compares himself to Gary Glitter, the disgraced British nonce who was caught abusing children in Southeast Asia. Rod of his own volition compared himself to Gary Glitter. And in the same damning video call, Rod also admitted to a crime. He admitted to forcing himself on a ladyboy lover of his. Even when they weren't in the mood, he obliged them. These revelations are even more sinister when we consider that within just a couple of months of Sam's passing, Rod was already on Instagram bragging that he'd found a new partner, a new ladyboy lover, and to my Western eyes, I admit that some of these Asians might look a bit younger, but to my eyes, his lover looked about 14 or 15 years old. This despite saying that he loves Sam. Rod has very quickly moved on and has also been on social media, including Twitter, continuing to advocate for child-adult relationships without a care in the world. However, in just the last few days as I'm recording this, Rod has been online again on Instagram to announce that this new girlfriend of his has left him, and now Rod has been hitting the tiles, hitting the pavement, going on nights out in the Philippines, to bars and clubs surrounded by ladyboys. In this edition, Rod Fleming Exposed Part 3, I can reveal exclusive information I've received to build a full and complete portrait of who Rod is. He's a groomer. I can exclusively reveal that Rod Fleming has been working as part of a 2-man criminal noncing syndicate to coerce, groom and attack young gay adolescent boys. I will evidence this in this video. However, let me make myself quite clear. I'm not making any allegations myself. I'm just going to be looking at what's already been said and what Rod's been saying about this situation on his own YouTube. He's been trying to do PR damage control to water it down. We're going to be taking a look at what Rod's actually been saying about this on his YouTube channel to try and distance himself from the situation. I will also be sharing testimonies provided to me from those involved. It of course goes without saying that everyone involved in this video is innocent until proven guilty in a court of law. They say that discretion is the better part of valour, but I'm not sure to what extent I agree. I believe that we have to be fearless, bold and courageous in the face of evil. And in Rod Fleming and Paul Britton, evil has become manifest as two persons. This video is not against the law and it's not breaking any YouTube community guidelines. YouTube prides itself as a platform where victims can openly and freely share their testimonies. I'd point you to the examples of Jake Paul's alleged victim, who shared a testimony against what Jake Paul did to them, and also some of the British girls who were abused by YouTubers about a decade or so ago. So these people have freely come to YouTube and feel empowered and emboldened to share what happened to them and to warn others. As I say, I'm not here to make any allegations myself, just to try and make sense of this whole situation and what's being said on Rod's YouTube channel about it. Not only has Rod been trying to distance himself from Paul and pretend that he didn't have much of a relationship with them, believe me, they did. Rod's also been threatening to dox Paul. That's the only illegal thing that's happened, a threat to dox. However, Rod did not carry through with that threat to dox, so nothing illegal has happened thus far, and as I say, my video is well within community guidelines. However, if Rod wants to pursue court action against me for me calling him a nonce, he is very welcome to, but I'll tell you now, he won't. Rod won't pursue libel against me, because I'm correct, and it's all in his own words. He is a nonce. I've decided to go ahead and share what I have here because I think it's in the public's interest, and also to serve as a warning to all young LGBT people. Stay far from Rod Fleming, and stay far from Paul Britton. I'd also like to just quickly take a moment to thank everyone for the immense outpouring and influx of love and appreciation that I've received on my first two videos. I've received hundreds and hundreds of comments. My first video, which is taken down, was on close to 3,000 views and close to 300 comments and 76 likes, and I've just received so many comments from people on all sides of the trans debate. HSTS, AGP, TERFs, gender crits, LGB, drop the T, gays against groomers. I've received comments from everyone, absolutely everyone, from every angle. All sides of this debate coming together to condemn this nonce Rod Fleming. I've even had some household names from the trans and de-trans debate reach out to me. For example, I've had Shapeshifter show their appreciation for my work. Also, Karina Cohn from the amazing Heterodox podcast compliment me on my work. And also Richie Heron, aka Tulip, also say some really kind words. So thank you all for that. That's really, honestly, means the world to me. Now, I've shown Rod as nonce, I've shown Rod as an abusive partner and cheat. One thing we're going to be taking a look at this video is Rod's grooming and predatory behaviour. A few of the comments and messages I received in the aftermath of my videos hinted at Rod being a groomer, and to be honest, I thought it went without saying. It should come as no surprise that Rod Fleming is a groomer. He's quite upfront about it. You only have to take a look at his video, Don't Wait, Self-Medicate, to know that. In this video, Rod implores all same-sex attracted boys, gay boys, to start taking feminizing, cross-sex hormones urgently and as quickly as possible. Start taking estrogen as quickly as possible. Don't become a gay man, become a trans woman. That's how Rod's sick, simplistic and deviant mind works. Not only that, but he implores children to take it legally or illegally. And if your parents disapprove, get the estrogen delivered to a different address. This is what Rod brazenly says on his YouTube channel. If your parents disapprove of the transition, just get it delivered to a different address. Check this out.
Don't wait, self-medicate. In the UK we have a real problem because TERFs, gender crits and other lowlifes have been actively campaigning against young people getting the hormonal treatment they need to transition. And again, I've said this before, I thought we'd got past this point, but apparently not. You have to understand that the TERFs and their allies, that they don't want people to transition. You know, it's deeply cynical. These are very, very unpleasant people. That being the case, young people, and I'm talking about very young people, you know, under 13, who have homosexual gender dysphoria, who are pre-transsexuals, who are trans kids, they really have to make a decision about how to do things if they live in a country like the UK. But in the UK, everything has to be medicalised. Everything has to go through these gatekeepers. The only thing they can really do is self-medicate. Now, I've put a page up on a site called allabouthsts.com, which is all about HSTS, called the Trans Toolkit. And I think you should go there. I've added a couple of potential suppliers already. I will be adding more because there are people here in the Philippines who will send to the UK. Before I go any further, I should say that it is completely legal. There is no impediment to people importing feminizing hormones for their own use. You can't sell them, but you can import them for your own use. That's completely legal. If you're MTF, if you're a young feminine boy who is pre-transsexual, who wants to be a woman, who is a woman, really, it's a girl, and just wants to fulfill herself, then yes, you can. You can import these things at very reasonable cost. They're not expensive. I mean, the drugs that you're using are not expensive drugs. You can just buy them online and have them imported and take them. A lot of doctors are quite sympathetic to this sort of thing. Others, however, are not. So some doctors will be difficult. They won't agree. They won't go along with it. Get these things online. They'll be delivered discreetly in a plain brown wrapper. If your parents are supportive, then that's really good. But we have to recognise that some parents are not supportive, and in that case, you're just going to have to get them to sent to somebody else because you can't take the risk. But the biggest risk for a pre-transsexual boy being forced to go through puberty as a boy. I know an awful lot of trans women here, and all of the successful ones, the ones who really do, they're beautiful. There you go. Boy, what a lovely girl. They all started taking hormones, usually contraceptive pills, at the age of 12, 11, 12, 13, in about there, and most are around about 12. There's no chance in the UK of you getting that, but there are very powerful TERF organisations. It's basically, the problem here is feminists, it's always feminists, trying to shut these things down. And of course one of the other agents, bad actors in this grouping is the new gay man, the gay men who have been conned into believing that they're actually men and who are determined to stop any transition. No boys are going to be allowed to transition by the NGM because that's another person lost to their, basically to their meat market and to their campaigning organisation. That's a person who's going to say, I don't want to change society. I'm just going to be a woman, get married, settle down, adopt a few kids and have a nice life. Thank you. Now fuck off. The NGM don't want that. He doesn't want that. He wants them out in the street, looking ridiculous, big hairy chest and pink panties on, protesting. That's what he wants. So he don't want anybody transitioning. None of these people have any right to interfere in the lives of other individuals. They should really be minding their own damn business, but they can't do it, can they? So you're going to have to get around them. And the only way you can do that is by self-medicating, because you really do, if you're in that position, by the age of 13, you need to arrest puberty. You need to stop it. Estrogen will be given to start feminizing. So it's wise to start giving estrogen really at the same time as you start puberty blocking. And certainly that's what happens here. That's what people do here, and it's very successful. It's really very successful. I mean, there are some of the trans women around here are just, it's totally successful. It's completely successful. That's all I can say. It really works. Just tell me that these are not successful transitions. It's a ludicrous claim. So that's really what you have to do. You have to consider self-medication. You have to remember that HSTS are not interested in being gays. They're not interested in being some part of some LGB thing, right? They have to pass flawlessly, effortlessly. Nobody must believe, he looks a bit funny, he's a tranny. People will have to help themselves, and the only way to do that is self-medication. Take care.
Rod's All About HSTS website is no longer active. However, his main website, rodfleming.com, is. And you don't have to spend much time on 67-year-old Rod's website either before you come across his Feminizing Hormones page, where he outlines to children how to find and take illicit cross-sex hormone replacement therapy from the black market, just like he did in his Don't Wait, Self-Medicate YouTube video. And sure enough, as with all his website, he's plastered the page with pictures of half-naked ladyboys. Every homosexual boy has to ask herself, is she going to be a boring, dull, gay man, prey to every pederast in town, or a drop-dead bombshell like this? Feminizing hormones are the answer. Again, I will remind you that Rod's concern with children transitioning is not out of care for kids with gender dysphoria, but out of lust for young trans girls. Rod is solely interested in the transition of young gay boys whom he calls HSTS, and is completely against female to male transition and AGP transition. He's only after the young gay boys. And that's not all. One of my commenters, Henrika, directed me to a video of Rod in which he invites a young gay boy to sit with him and, using Sam as a translator, urges the boy to start taking hormones and transition into a ladyboy as soon as possible. Now, Sam didn't know any better. They were a very troubled person and only realised the truth about Rod not long before they passed. When you watch this, remember that this is just what Rod feels comfortable putting on YouTube for the world to see.
We made this next video when we were at the beach last week, and we met a Baton Batla, a baby ladyboy. And her name's Maria, she's 14. Has had a bit of a tough life. And so I'm just going to let you watch the interview we did with her, and then we'll maybe discuss it a little bit afterwards. You just have to get used to Sam's interesting video style, but there you go. And concentrate a little bit on the girl herself. Okay, when you were still a little, before you were born, you were a girl.
Yeah. You feel like being a girl? Yeah. When you was young, yung bata ka?
Hindi. Mga grade 1 ganun.
Oh, what your age? What age you're flirting to other guy?
7 ata.
7 years old. She's starting to flirting other. She's starting to have crush. Only crush,
Keep the camera on her.
To you, then to how is happiness of you?
And how did you, when you were a little girl, you played with dolls or you played with boy toys?
Ano daw nilalaro mo nung bata ka pa?
Barbie doll.
Barbie
doll.
like the same.
Oh, okay, Barbie doll. You met sister. You're her sister. You back there. You know that?
Then,
So are you.
mo din.
Well, then you're sisters.
Yeah, di ba? Upper girl.
At least cousins.
Ba?
Do you go to school here in Subic?
In Alongo.
In Olonga?
Wala ba yung aral? Doon sa city talaga?
Hindi po. Barreto po, Alonga po.
Barreto, Olongapo.
Okay. What do you think? How do you see yourself in the future? What do you want to do in your life? I'm going to give. Well, Maria, I'm going to give you some advice.
What's your name?
Maria.
In the boy name. Real name. Ha?
LG.
LG.
Leonard J.
Tapos in the night.
Family name? What's your family name?
Girl name.
Maria.
Maria.
This is Maria. So Maria, what you have to do is you have to really work and learn English. Right?
You need to study to how to understand English and speak
Because-
English.
Naaral ko nga.
Because, you know why? You know why? Why is because one day you'll meet a man who speaks English.
Malay mo, mag-aasawa ka ng foreigner.
Like she did.
Diba?
The Filipino guys are not so good for backwards, but foreigners are. Okay? And stay and work hard at school.
Another video
Do you
girl.
have other brothers and sisters? Yeah.
I have.
Hmm?
I have.
How many?
Hi. Ilan daw?
Three.
So bali 4 kayo.
And are you the oldest? Or
The second.
you're the oldest. You're the oldest.
So maliit pa yung kapatid mo.
So you will have to study hard because your family will expect you to be a breadwinner because you're.
Kanya yan ang order. Pag hindi, go ka sa mababa. Kasi yung iba kasi mga maltaas na.
Lang ta.
Sige na.
Sir! Peanut. Buy na. Fresh peanut from America.
America.
Selling the peanut.
I know you think it's funny. I don't think it.
Ha?
So are there other young backlights like you that you know?
Hindi.
Meron ka bang marami ka din kaibigang bakla katulad mo?
Sino to
I'm not a doctor, I'm a master. But never mind.
She's writer.
Yeah. What you need to do is, as soon as you can, is you need to start taking the hormones. Show them the hormones. So
Pag
show
ano
how
ka
the
magsimula ka sa hormones bago ka magpa-orange para lumambot ang balat mo.
May hormones.
hormones. Only
Yung
two a
parang
day.
pang dadako ng soso. O yung maugat.
She takes micropills?
That nga you don't understand it
No, because it's Tagalog, sorry. Micropills are cheap. They're like 80 pesos.
If you have...
Magamit ka din nun?
First thing you notice is that Maria's 14. She's known that she was a girl since she was inside her mother. But she's always been a girl. She's never felt any different from that. She's always enjoyed girl toys. She's always enjoyed girl clothes. She's always been attracted to men. And I worry, what is a girl like that going to do? She told us that she had been offered money, by foreigners to go to the room, and I said to her to be very, very careful. But you do have to ask yourself, what are the options for a girl like that?
I'm now going to move on to a very dark and sinister part of this video, where I'm going to expose how Rod Fleming has been working in tandem with an alleged sex offender named Paul Britton to groom, coerce and attack gay adolescents in a private Discord server. We're going to be taking a listen to the testimony of one person who Paul met up with, allegedly attempted to attack in a Premier Inn. That person has courageously reached out to me and shared their testimony over Discord. I'm going to be referring to them as Magenta. Magenta got in touch with me after initially leaving a cryptic comment on my first Rod Fleming video. They hit me up on Discord and shared their experience of the Rod Fleming Discord call, and they're happy for me to share their story. We're about to hear very harrowing testimony against Rod and Paul, aka Sarah. Let's just get into it. So they say, "Hi, hey, I'm Magenta, I'm calling them by, who commented on your Rod video, was saying everything you tell me is in confidence. Thanks, because he knows a lot about me, lol. I don't want to piss him off too much." So immediately we're seeing how Rod kind of blackmails people against coming forward and revealing what they know about him. Magenta says, "He's dying, by the way, so he won't be doing what he's doing for long. That's sad, but comforting, I guess. He's hurt a lot of people. I'd count myself as one of those he's hurt. I mentioned that I was aware he's had skin cancer, and I was wondering if that's what they meant. They say, not from that. Think about the one risk he talks about from ladyboys." We're talking about STDs here. "In short, I've known Rod for over a year. I haven't spoken to him for almost a year. It was amicable, although we have had many arguments. I'm gay, and he basically groomed me to be a pretty, homosexual, transsexual. It was creepy, and he was obsessed with watching my body feminize." And I just asked, how did Rod enter your life? I called him the Rods to just be trying to keep it light. Magenta tells me, "Okay, long story. Basically, I trans when I was 15. I was just your typical gay kid and was really bullied for it. I thought becoming a girl would fix everything. I eventually found Rod's videos. I was introduced to him by this creep called Paul, who ran a channel called Gender Hysterical. It's since been taken down. This was early 2017. I met Rod during lockdown." Oh, so before he moved to France? Oh, do you mean met in person? So I was getting my years mixed up a bit. So Magenta says, "No, I never met him, Rod, in person. Paul, I did. When we met up, he tried to me. Rod didn't care. I only knew him through Zoom calls, and he was always in the Philippines." That's Rod. "Does Paul have much of an online presence if I were to look him up now? And how old is he? Is he a creepy guy like Rod, or more normal seeming?" "Paul is 63 now, I think. Total creep. He lied about everything. Met him, then OMFG. I learnt not to meet strangers on the internet that day." Paul used to be active on Twitter and YouTube. He worshipped Rod and sent him tons of money. If Rod ever put out a video where he didn't beg for money, it was because Paul wired him a couple thousand. He legit would pay his rent for him in exchange for affirmation. Damn, so they were that tight then. Are they buddies in real life or just online? Just online, though they're not buddies anymore. So thinking about how much money Paul's sending Rod, I says, so Rod had every incentive to turn a blind eye, no matter how bad Paul's actions were. Precisely. Rod only cares about money. But I mean, grooming young and, to be honest, vulnerable people online and attempting to them, the line's got to be drawn somewhere. Yeah. And then I just made a joke that if Rod only cares about money, it's a shame that he's completely broke, then isn't it? So just a little joke, just to lighten the mood again. Just to reiterate, that's not Rod that's doing the stuff. Rod doesn't take it well. He's been suicidal. Rod doesn't take being broke well, is what they mean by that. They say he's been suicidal, and I say, what, from being financially unstable? He's so close to Sam because she saved his life after he hanged himself on Christmas Day of all times. Damn. In fairness, Sam has stuck with Rod. I don't know if that's a cultural thing or what, but they have been loyal to one another. However, I've since found out that Rod certainly has not been loyal, and this is one of the reasons why Sam's family is so angry at him. But let's continue. When I zoomed Rod, he was mostly just an angry mother effer, and would rage about gays. Was so homophobic. These are just some more messages, and as I explain how I managed to get Rod to do a video call with me. Okay, now we're getting into it a bit. So Magenta says, Rod says he likes topping, but when he's been drunk, I guess he's admitted to being the submissive partner, and he talks about how he falls asleep holding Sam's dick. Yeah, I don't doubt it. In really old videos, he actually refers to himself as bisexual, but seems sheepish about it. Rod would stare at my breasts and be really creepy, and then try to teach me how to do sexual stuff. He'd go into the camera and say, imagine a big, hairy, etc. You get the picture. And he'd describe a sexual encounter and ask me what I thought about it. It was freaky thinking back. He'd then laugh about it, saying I'm definitely homosexual transsexual. I was 19 probably. I was already transitioned for a few years before. I detrans last year, by the way. I've been groomed by similar creeps as a minor, but not Rod. I realised it was a mistake, and I wasn't happy with my life at all, and being trans was too much stress. They say, when I was briefly out as gay before I transitioned, I was actually bullied by other gays, so some of what he said was relatable. I've honestly become content with being celibate. I'm not into feminine men, which are the only gay men into me. Then we're just talking a bit more about their dating life as a gay man and also as a trans woman. Then just some more, I'm just chatting drivel and trying to keep them on board and trying to find out what they know about Rod. And again, we're just talking about the gay lifestyle. I don't agree with Rod that a man who tops a man or a boy is straight, like Rod says, which is obviously a ridiculous thing, another ridiculous thing that Rod repeatedly says again and again. Magenta says, I know some gay men that are very masculine naturally. You wouldn't know they're gay. And I joked, like Rod. Magenta says, Rod is not my definition of masculine. Nor mine, I'm just playing. I know, Rod is just a loser. Just for posterity, I'm just showing you all of these messages. I says, I was well within my rights to call out someone saying wild stuff about kids, and I absolutely was. Don't sweat it, lol. Rod wouldn't think twice of keeping pics of me to touch himself over. So I says, so how did your relationships with Rod and Paul progress? Okay, so with Paul, I would leave comments on his channel. Then he, on one comment, told me to send an email to the channel's email address. Then he sent a Discord server link. He wanted to verify I'm actually homosexual transsexual by calling me before he let me in. He verified that I'm a homosexual transsexual by listening to my voice, and I sounded like a girl, especially because with blockers my voice didn't drop fully. So I was let in to Paul and Rod's Discord server, private Discord server, and the members of it were Kat Corelli, who runs a really cringy YouTube channel, a few others, and we were all verified homosexual transsexual by Rod. Kat is actually a nice person, but goodness, if that were my life, I'd take my freedom rifle and put a freedom round through my head, lol. Magenta says, Paul, however, was the leader of this server. He is an absolute control freak. Did Rod answer to Paul then, given that Paul was the money man? Rod was in the server, lol. It was such a waste of my life. I wasted so many years of my life. I'm doing well now, though that's what matters. I hope you're doing okay too. So Magenta's really kind, affable, friendly person, and that came across in these messages. Now I wanted to dig into it a bit, so I said, so how long into being into this Discord server did you meet with Paul and he attacked you? Right, so I would say after a month, maybe he started getting really pushy. It's just facts, I was really pretty. I was treated differently than everyone else, including by Rod, to an extent, as Rod would say I was his type a lot. Because me and Paul also were both from the UK, he wanted to meet up. I didn't want to, but eventually it became so persistent, he was offering to pay tons of money, get a really nice hotel, etc, etc. He would travel all the way down to see me, and I was eventually like, F it, okay, and then set a date. So after meeting him, I'd say just over 2 months. I should have known better. I met someone else older than me. This creep has been doing this to young homosexual transsexuals since the 90s. I'll repeat that. Paul has been doing this to young homosexual transsexuals since the 90s. Paul is a groomer and everyone knows it, including Rod, but he didn't care. When I met Paul, he was so secretive about his past life to a ridiculous extent. He'd even use burner phones, so creepy. Should have been a massive red flag. However, he showed me a picture from back in the early 2000s of someone who used to be his friend and told me her name. She was a trans woman, by the way, and then ranted about her. I found her on Facebook and described the encounter they had with Paul, and it was exactly the same thing that happened to me. Paul had a ritual, even down to the minute detail that we had to eat rendang curry before he would sexually assault me. When he met me, he couldn't find any of the curry, and was so angry. He paced around the room in rage. Then we went and ordered a Chinese back to the hotel room, then got loads of alcohol. Were you beginning to freak out and get signs he was into you? I didn't actually think this was going to happen. I was dumb. And was this in an isolated place? A hotel room, you say? Yeah, it was a Premier Inn. He then, out of the blue, took all his clothes off and wanted to show me his vagina. I said no. Then he went into his suitcase and wanted me to pick out new clothes for him. I then realised this was getting freaky. I was then like, I need to get out of here. And remind me how old Paul was at the time? He was 61. I was 20, I think. I hate hearing things like this and these types of things, so I did the angry face and I said, how did you manage to escape? I just walked out the room at 1 a.m. I got out of there. He was very insistent I stayed the night, but survival mode kicked in. After that, he demanded the next day to meet my parents. He knew the village I lived in at that point, so I was an idiot and thought, okay, let's just do it. He then ranted to my mum about the evil AGPs. That has got to be the low point of my life. Yes, I'm genuinely being serious. This is my life. Okay guys, so obviously out of respect and confidentiality I do have to keep some of this private, but I'm just trying to show you everything to give you the full picture. Then we were just bantering a bit, as you saw. Just to go back to the Rod thing to round it off. After Paul met with your parents and then left and went on his way presumably, what next? Did you reach out to Rod to warn him about Paul? And how did you track down the other homosexual transsexual he attacked in the 2000s? Okay, so after that I was in shock for a few days, but then I told Kat, and Kat was like, that's SA. OMG, then they unfriended Paul. So just a bit more of the conversation there. Before, a big revelation. Rod was trying to trans a young gay boy called Adam, or Maddie as she is at the moment. I'll use Madame because yeah, they're not actually trans and they admit that themselves. They were 18, 19 when it started and Rod was Zoom calling with me and Maddie Freeway and he wanted me to help him effectively groom Madame. I feel really ashamed of this. I would basically encourage him to transition as he had no future being gay, which is patently false. I taught him makeup and hair skills, basically taught him how to be a girl. He then started estrogen and yep, he's not trans. They felt ashamed, so I just said, don't, because you fell for the same lies from Rod, the serpent. They go, crazy thing, Madame is bisexual. According to Rod, that equals AGP, gasp. But oops, young pretty boy, his type. That can't be looked past, can it? Rod sees a young pretty boy he likes and he's all in. Do you think Rod groomed them to transition with the intention of one day meeting up and sleeping with them? Paul definitely was doing that. They were from New Zealand and Paul was waiting for COVID to pass before flying over there. Luckily, I was the one who was assaulted by Paul, so I could at least tell Madam not to see him and thank God he listened. But the whole Rat Pack thing came about because Madam was getting severely depressed. He would tell me he knows he's just gay and doesn't want to do this. Then Rod would get cross and it was really effed up. We stood up to Rod and because of that Rod flipped out. Banned us from his server, then produced those videos. Rod was angry that we weren't helping him to manipulate a vulnerable young adult into making major, life-altering decisions so he can get an erection. I'm so happy this is past tense for my life. So, is this when you kind of stopped having anything to do with Rod? My friend shared the link to your video and I watched it, then I was like, I should say something to them. There was one final thing I wanted to follow up. How did you track down the homosexual transsexual woman Paul assaulted in the 2000s? And how did you find out that it was a pattern of behaviour? He's done this numerous times. Okay, so Paul actually told me their name. I just looked it up on Facebook and sent them a message. We got talking and they told me they know others as well that he's done this to. He's been finding young homosexual transsexual to groom and then assault since at least the 90s. Horrifying to think about. Rod is no better. Actually, I think Rod likes just watching this stuff happen rather than participate. Do you reckon Rod is well aware, and always has been well aware, of what Paul does then? Rod admitted he knew exactly what he was about from the beginning. He just wanted his money. He didn't care if any precious homosexual transsexuals got harmed in the process. As I say, I want him to see justice before he dies, I said. Speaking of which, you mentioned he was really unwell, which he's kept from his YouTube audience. Rod has AIDS. He can't afford the meds. he got HIV from Sam. And again, I'd just remind you that these messages are all some months before Sam was taken really unwell into hospital. Quite a few months ago when I uploaded my first video. And there was no inkling or sight that Sam was this unwell. So I do believe, again, I know that this is a trustworthy source. However, Rod did say that Sam was unwell, but not that bad. So I said, yeah, he has been saying that she's in a really bad way. He's been using all the money he has to buy the drugs for Sam and is letting himself die. It's the HIV. Sam is also very mentally ill. She has borderline personality disorder and a whole host of other issues. Paul actually offered for them to live in his house and Rod declined that. He has privilege in the Philippines. I think he's scared to lose it. But I mean, giving up his life, letting AIDS take its course. AIDS is awful. It really is. Rod is just severely depressed. He's expecting to die. Paul actually told me a lot of this info, but a lot of info was directly from Rod when we'd Zoom call together. You don't think Sam cheated on him, do you, to contract HIV? Couldn't say. Oh, no. Sam did sex work. It was from that, I think. Rod said she's had it for years. Rod is a paradox because the guy's not organised. He doesn't seem a strategist, honestly. He just doesn't care enough to be. Issue is, it's so hard to prove. He is slippy, even though he shouldn't be. Magenta then went on to explain why they are fearful of Rod. They say, be sensible, obviously, as I don't want Rod to have a bone to pick with me. He knows too much about me. He knows my full name. He also knows which town I'm from, so he could do real damage to me. I hear you, but I mean, what could he even do? And what with things coming out about him, it's really bad optics for Roddy Boy at the moment. I think he wants as little drama and eyes on him as possible. Like, I don't think he'll be out planning his revenge on you. Then we're just talking about the logistics of Rod getting revenge on Magenta. Nothing particularly interesting here, just showing you all the messages. I was going to ask, if you think Paul's autistic, what with the weirdo curry thing? No, he's just a predator. It's his ritual. Then just continuing the conversation and about Magenta's next steps in life, we had a little bit of a talk and just getting on with each other really. It's funny to talk about this again. I haven't talked about him in months. Feels good to not have that freak part of my life anymore. Just continuing the conversation and rounding it all off in a really positive way. There you have it. Really insightful. It was all new to me about this Paul character, and it gave me a lot of digging and researching to do. Shocking. Now, if you're subscribed to Rod's YouTube and have been following him over the last few months, he's been making many videos about Paul and this situation and trying to distance himself from Paul and downplay his own involvement in these alleged crimes. This is because Rod has a lot of skeletons in the closet and he's trying to do a desperate and pathetic attempt at PR control before the whole truth gets blown out the water. Not only that, but Rod had the audacity to claim that I am actually friends with Paul, not him, and I made my videos under the direction of Paul. Not true. I made my videos myself and I never heard of Paul until after I made them. Rod says in these videos that he chatted to Paul over WhatsApp and video call for hundreds and hundreds of hours. If Paul's such a freak, why would Rod talk to them for hundreds and hundreds of hours? Could it be because birds of a feather flock together? And they were in fact, contrary to what Rod's saying now, they were in fact close friends. As you watch through these videos of Rod's, just try and note how he tries to shift attention and blame away from himself and entirely onto Paul. When they're both culpable and they were both involved in this together, it was a two-man criminal nonsense syndicate. So, who actually is Paul? How did this start? And what is even going on? Well, let's listen to what Rod has to say about the situation. You can come to your own conclusions.
Rod Fleming here, and I hope you're all well. I'm getting slightly better, but I have recently been attacked by a bunch of autogynophiles, so I'm going to go into that a little bit. The instigator of this particular round of unpleasantness is a creep who goes by the name of Jagtib Jano, alias Joey Wickham, or what he claims is his real name, which is Jackson Stokes. Well, Jackson Stokes is a really well-known musician, so it's probably bullshit too. Everything about this guy is bullshit. He's an autogynophile. He had an interview with me and explained how he liked to lie in his bed naked and dildo himself to climax, and how he liked to dress in women's clothes, and all such things like that. How lovely. And yes, I admit, he later backpedals, but if you know autogynophiles, you know that that's what they do. They let something slip and then they, oh my god, Oh, if he makes it public, well, you see, Jackson, we know what you are. You're a piece of shit. That's what you actually are. He now doesn't want me to reveal the name Jackson Stokes, so I'm telling you, Jackson Stokes, famous musician. Yeah. If he's cursed with that name, well, fine. I think people like this illustrate just how evil some autogynephiles really are. They're vile. The ones in the West, by and large, are just despicable. That's the word. Despicable. Horrible people who lie, who cheat. They have no actual attachment to reality whatsoever. So I'm going to let that one hang. There you are. Jag Deep, Jackson Stokes, Joey Wickham, enjoy. I will be making this very public. And all of these that you sent me will go on my website, including all of the things that the person known severally as Lynn Britton, Sarah, Karen and Paul. What is it with these bloody names? Why do they all have to have 10 names? You know, you talk to me, you're talking to me. That's my name, Rod Fleming. Don't wear it out. So I'll put all those up on my website. Because frankly, reading, speaking that drivel is painful. These people they hide behind the pretense of being trans, but they're actually just transvestites. They're fetishistic men who like to dress up in girly clothing. That's it. There's nothing special about them, and they're not deserving of any more attention than that. So this will be going up on several forums, put it on Rumble, put it on Odyssey, because I don't trust YouTube at all. It's infested with wokists. So we'll do that so that this doesn't get lost. You know? One thing before I forget about Jackson Stokes, stroke Joey Wickham, stroke Jag Deep Jano, is that he has, as well as his fetish for penetrating himself with dildos and various others, he has a thing about boys. He's picked up on several articles that I have on my site which explain the context. You can't really understand how ladyboys come to be unless you understand that they actually come to be as, well, adolescents, really. And if you don't understand that, then you don't understand it. It's not like they suddenly pop into existence, at the age of 22. That doesn't mean you should be doing anything with them, it just is an observable fact. I have been begged to make this video by someone. They really did want me to make it. Sent many emails saying, oh, when am I going to see the video? When am I going to see it? So here it is. And let's just give you a wee dotty wee bit background to start with. About, I guess, a couple of years ago, I don't know exactly when, I didn't keep track, it was during COVID, I was contacted by this very strange person in England who claimed to be HSTS, that's homosexual transsexual, but very obviously wasn't. It was immediately obvious that this was an autogynephilic transvestite. Short and dumpy, but definitely not HSTS. Nothing, absolutely nothing feminine about him at all. He just looked like a guy in a dress with long hair. I mean, he could have been a rock star in the 1970s. It was that kind of thing. It was like, you're kidding me. But, I'm a nice, polite person. I don't just offend people for the sake of it. And so, this person then started every bloody week, sometimes twice a week, he would call me up on WhatsApp. And, I've got news for you, I've got this, I've got that. And he started up this fucking website, which he called, I think it was Gender Hysterical, something like that. And it was shit. It was dreadful. And he has a problem with spelling. I mean, possibly dyslexic, which would not be his fault. But if you're dyslexic and you want to write things, then use a spell checker. It's really easy these days. You don't have to look like a complete prat with your spelling. You've got a machine that'll do it for you. It'll sort out, it's okay, they'll do the right spellings for you. As long as it vaguely recognises the word, leaving that aside. After the first couple of sessions, I really cannot be asked correcting all your errors, do it yourself. And I just stopped commenting. Anyway, this carried on for a long time, and this person was grooming a young person. in New Zealand and asked me to speak to this person with a view to encouraging transition, which I was a little bit like, well, you know, it's not really my business and I'm not really qualified to make these decisions, but I spoke to her anyway. It was and slowly, one at least other person whom this character was grooming appeared and was introduced, and I was like, well, okay, you know, whatever you do, it's your life, it's not my life, what can I say, you know? I don't even know you. I'm certainly not pursuing you. This person emailed me to say that the groomee, number one, the person they had been grooming, the New Zealander, was not progressing quickly enough with transition, and therefore they would have to stop. And so the person we're going to talk about was going to call them up on the Saturday morning and tell them that they had to stop. They had to stop the nonsense. They had to stop taking hormones and stop all this business of transition, because this person said so. This is just bullying. This is just you ganging up with your horrible little pals in some group cabal that you've got somewhere to harm a very sweet and innocent person. The person's in New Zealand. I'm in the Philippines. It's thousands of miles away. And at the time I was in a relationship. There's no way. I was just trying to be... Anyway, this was my not showing up for this hatchet job that this vile character had planned on the New Zealander. Apparently it caused terrible anger and rage. Fucking rage response. But oh boy, I was being called all sorts of things. This guy, now we'll get to the name now. This guy, whose name is actually Paul. I've got his second name and his address actually, but we'll keep that quiet just now. His name is Paul, and he goes by the aliases of Sarah Britton and Lynn Britton and various others, you know. I mean, the spellings are never the same twice, but it doesn't matter. He was trying to coordinate an attack on me, and because what happened was that he had collected around himself a little cabal of pals whom he'd, you know, basically groomed. I wasn't one of that, so I was like, fuck you, I'll carry on with my life, you know. The last thing I need is some terminal bore twice a week. And then suddenly they all started coming back to me, and it's like, we found out about Paul. He's a terrible man. He's a groomer. He's been grooming people since the 1990s. He's awful, and there's a whole list of stuff that he's alleged to have done. It would certainly be counted as sexual harassment, definitely. But, you know, you would need to get witnesses and all the rest of it to do that sort of thing. Anyhow, this person, Paul, had been like getting these people to be really, how do we get Rod Fleming? And it's like they went to the police. What the fuck are the police going to do? I didn't do anything. I didn't say anything. It's all from them. All from him, Paul. Police here, get him thrown out of the Philippines. What the fuck would that be? If I went back to Britain, then I would be coming to see you, Paul. You know, it claims that I've been visited by the police. Like, fuck. I've had no contact whatsoever from any police anywhere. The last time that I was contacted by the police was for an alleged motoring offence in 2005. Well, Paul, you aren't a woman. Sorry, you just aren't. You may possibly have been to have genital reconstruction surgery, and we'll come to that in a minute, but you're still not a woman. Sorry. Your frankenpuss is not connected to a reproductive system, sunshine. You're not a woman. Can't make babies. End of. So, let's move on from that. And at this point we'll put in the list of this most recent emails, and you'll see how really repulsive this person is. Nasty and horrible and just a typical autogynephile in a rage. Here are the emails from Paul, alias Sarah, alias Lynn Britton, and I don't know how many other fake names he has. Here we go. Thursday, November the 9th, 2023, Sarah Britton, so-called, wrote, "Hello Rod, it's been a minute. I wanted to extend an olive branch in light of your new blog post, that is YOU''RE, new blog post about me. I think it is possible for us to rekindle our relationship. How's things? Sarah." And my response to that was, well, you wait till you see the next one, son. On Thursday, November the 9th at 14:55, Sarah Britton wrote, "When is it due, Roderick?" With 2 Ds, misspelled, probably deliberately. So to that I responded, well, when I'm ready, Paul. I'm not in the habit of being pushed around by weird autogynephilic transvestites living in some shithole in England. Sorry. Too bad. I'm not your creature. You are not my boss. I do things when I'm bloody ready to do them. Right, so on that obviously triggered him because, and this is where the narcissistic rage really comes out, he says on Thursday, November 9th, 2023, remember this is all happening in one day. Paul says, well, I always thought you were a loser, a failure of sorts. Maybe it's best it all came out. Then again, I've been waiting. I don't think, actually, you have it in you. Toodle pip, pumpkin. On Thursday, November 9th, again, still on the same day, I responded, well, careful for what you wish for, Paul, and your nasty is showing again. He has a tremendous amount of nasty. Anyway, again on Thursday, November the 9th, I remember this just last week. Do your very worst, Rod. Go on, go for it. I'm a retired woman. Sick. There's THEIR''S. There's nothing you can do to me. I got the size of you pretty early on. An inadequate, insecure homosexual. Remember how you used to go to sleep holding Sam's dick? Sums you up. Well, the first thing to say here is, it takes a real creep, a really nasty creep, to bring the dead into a debate. That alone should tell everyone what you are, Paul. Yes, I certainly used to occasionally, not something I did all the time, but yeah, occasionally you would, if you're sleeping as spoons and you're both naked, obviously, and she was always be in front, yeah, your hand kind of falls naturally on that place. And there's something there to hold, so you hold it. I don't think that really means anything. But, you can think what you like. I think that the insecurity is coming from the other side here, quite honestly. After all, I'm not chasing up somebody whom, trying to continue, after over a year, to insult someone. And I'll explain the circumstances. I don't think that the insecurity is from my side, frankly. And I certainly wouldn't ever bring in a dead person to the debate. Never mind. I responded to this. It won't work, son. Nasty AGPs have nothing to say that might annoy me. Just for clarification, Sam's was not the only penis that I fell asleep holding. I've done that with just about every ladyboy who's been a girlfriend of mine, because that's the way I like to sleep, as spoons. And, I have a rule, no clothes on in bed. So, as I say, your hand kind of falls over there and it's, okay, not a problem. It's just not a problem. She's got a cock, so you might as well accept it. I mean, I'm not homophobic at all. People say, oh, I don't like homosexuals. I've got nothing against homosexuals. Nothing. I think it's pretty ridiculous when in the West they're persuaded that they're some sort of kind of guy. I mean, I think that's just a bit pathetic and funny. And I'm not a particular fan of pederasts, but pederasts are not homosexuals. Stephen Fry is not a homosexual, he's a pederast. There's a huge difference. Anyway, leaving that aside, holding my girlfriend's dick, yeah, I do that. That's fine. I don't have a problem with it. If you have a problem with it, it's your problem. On Thursday, November the 9th at 11:08, remember, all on the same day, I just wrote, it won't work, son. Nasty AGPs have nothing to say that might annoy me because I know what they are, which is men. And we knew what you were from day one. This person contacted me and essentially tried to groom me, which is spectacular, telling me how she was, and I quote, sapiosexual, and I quote, sexually attracted to me, which to me was like, well, I was brought up to be polite, even to idiots, and I'm not going to just say, look, you're absolutely disgusting, and I wouldn't even think about going to bed with you. I'm not brought up that way. I'm a nice person. Anyway, on Thursday, remember the 9th, again, Paul, Sarah, whatever, wrote back, whatever, but do not, in capitals, talk about my medical history or surgery. That was out of line. Why? Why was that out of line? As I say, I already know you won't say anything that could even be perceived, perceaved, as incriminating against me, out of fear of yourself. You don't scare me. What on earth could I possibly be afraid of from you? I mean, you know, I have it on good authority that you have attempted to get, this person has attempted to take out a contract on me, has attempted to get the police involved for some weird reason, I don't know why. There's no way the police do not protect you in the way that you think that they do. And certainly not here. So I will say anything I bloody well like to say about you, about Paul, about Sarah Britton, about Lynn, because this is a dangerous, grooming man. That's what this is. So I responded, oh yes, sorry, he goes on, I know who and what I am, and I'm very contented with that. As for you, not so much, I don't think. I am completely content. I have 2 dogs, I have 2 cats, I have a nice life. Thank you very much indeed, and fuck you. Fuck you for asking. He comes back saying, exactly what I thought, all bark no bite, you're too much of a pussy to even attempt to bring me down or character assassinate me. ASSASINATE. So you can stop with the empty threats, bitch boy. I always rank things in our group. What group? All that happened is that this character, Paul, Sarah, Lynn, would call me up on WhatsApp, usually twice a week, and then bore me stupid for an hour with absolute bollocks, you know, and these crazy ideas. You know, it was sad. I mean, quite often I just had to have a drink. I mean, I'm not an alcoholic, but, you know, when somebody is that awful, you go, fuck it. Give me a bottle of beer right away, because I need it. And I always had a drink afterwards, even sometimes during, because it's just too much. You know, the level of boredom, and she's threeping on in this horrible English accent. Good. Anyway, he says, I always ran things in our group. What group? There was no group. There was you, or this man, boring me online. There was no group. What group? You're amazing. And then the absolute cracker, you know, P.S., do you have AIDS now? I mean, think about the mindset of the kind of vermin that would say that. The kind of horrible, despicable, unpleasant human being. Well, near enough human being that would actually say that. For the information of everyone, I've been tested. I'm clean. There's no problem. So you can look forward to me being on your back for a long fucking time, Paul. That's for certain. I'm not about to give up. And here comes Yoda. Come on, Yoda. Excuse me. What kind of person says things like that? That's disgusting. This man, Paul, Sarah, is utterly disgusting. And these are his words. I'll put them up. You can see them, and I will put them up on my website just in case it gets taken down from YouTube. It will also be on Rumble and Odyssey. We're talking about, and this is, to get back to the point here, this is absolutely typical of the narcissistic rage response. Go across to www.rodfleming.com/the autogynephilic rats and how they chatter, and that gives you all of the communications between this guy, Paul, Sarah, Lynn, and the other autogynephile, that is Jagdeep Jano stroke Joey Wickham stroke Jackson Stokes. And why do they all have to have so many names, you know? Don't they get confused? I mean, I have one name. That's me. I mean, what are you people? I mean, these people live in absolute cloud cuckoo land. They're total bloody fantasists, every single one of them. Anyway, I will go on to the other way of doing things now. Thank you. So you can see from that list that we're talking about a seriously nasty individual. He's so consumed with rage that even over a year later, it's still, the hatred is absolutely evident in his words. It's incredible, you know, and this person is a very sick person. This person is desperate need of psychiatric help. In fact, probably needs to be locked up. Danger both to himself and those around him. But, you know, that's not my position to say, is it now? Only autogynephiles perpetuate this fury for years What you have to understand about autogynephiles is they don't live in your world. They live in this Walter Mitty fantasy world in which they are beautiful princesses. And all of the world is against them. Everybody is a bad person against me because they don't believe everything I say. And if you say one thing that conflicts with that, if you kind of go, you sure you're a woman? They'll go nuts. The typically waspish nature of Western homosexuals is entirely because they're not being allowed to be what they actually are, which is girls. That's that. So, I totally support them. You know, you can call me up anytime and I will do my best, you know, whatever I can do to, at least to make it more comfortable, you know, with a few words. But I have to say that in the last period of time, certainly since this began with this Paul, Sarah, Lynn Britton character, and then, you know, the Jackson Stokes thing, you know, it's vile people. Autogynephilic transvestites who are anything but nice, anything but sweet, anything but, you know, dainty and pretty. They're big hulking men in fucking dresses. Now, one of the things that Polsky actually asked me not to do was to discuss his medical history. So I will, you know, just to annoy him more. I don't actually know that much. He said to me that he had gone to Thailand in the early 2000s to have this surgery, which would have placed him, because he's now well into his 50s, probably getting on for 60. He said to me that he'd gone to Thailand. He said to me that he had gone to Dr. Suporn, but didn't know that Suporn had retired quite a few years ago now. I can't remember exactly when, but certainly it was a long time ago. And then tried to cover his track and go, no, it was the clinic. It was Suporn's clinic. It wasn't actually Suporn. Personally, I think he went to one of the cheap Charlie discount parlours where you can get your nuts chopped off for, you know, a couple of £1,000. Because this guy is really cheap. You know, he's definitely, I don't see him spending £10,000 on an operation when you could have it, you know, for 2,000. A cheap Charlie backstreet joint. He actually said, Paul actually said several times that the problem he has with this neo-vagina, often called a frankenpuss, is that it stinks. It's really smelly. That could be, and we didn't go into this, but I could speculate here, that's reasonable. Now, this is a speculation, that it could be that they used, as this is quite normal, they used a little bit of the sigmoid colon to give extra depth to the neo-vagina, which does require extra cleaning, so they can get a bit smelly. And you know, that's not unique. Other people have mentioned the same thing. And they require, well, you have to douche several times a day sometimes. Apparently nobody told Paul that you could just douche it, you know, that's going to be alright, you know. But hey, most men it's like, penis past or present, don't want to know. But a man who's open to transsexuals will go, well, so what? I'm going in the back door anyway, so it's not a problem for me. What you've got around the front, that's fine. And like I say, in the other part of the video, you know, it's actually quite pleasant. You're falling asleep with someone that you love and she's all close to you and you're doing spoons in bed, you know, and your hand just sort of falls over around her, as it does, and, you know, it falls on her bits, which are kind of warm and pleasant to feel. What's the big deal? There's no big deal. There is absolutely no big deal about this at all. It's just, you know, USicans are fucked up. Anyway, enough of that. I shall leave you. I shall speak to you soon. Polsky, Sarahsky, Linsky, whatever you're doing, your sycophants, the nasty little creeps that surround you. Fuck you. I don't care. Bye. And hello again, it's Rod Fleming. And yes, I'm in front of the white screen. I will get the green screen up, promise. Now, the other thing, news update today is that, as you know, I've done a few things on a particularly unpleasant autogynephilic male by the name of Paul Britton, who also goes by the names of Sarah and Lynn Britton, and another extremely nasty one called Jackson Stokes, who also goes by the names of Joey Wickham and Jagdeep Jano. I've today received a specific threat from one of these, and actually this person is absolutely evil enough to try and do something about it. So I'm going to make absolutely everything public. Everything that has been exchanged, every email, every word, everything, the whole lot is going to go up on YouTube and on my website. So if anything does happen to me, people will know where to look. I am absolutely fed up with these people and their behaviour. It's just scandalous how they think they can get away with what they do. We're talking about groomers here. Groomers who have a history of grooming. You know, and this is substantiated by many, many claims, as you will see from the documentation that I will make public. So, there you go. That's what happens when you threaten me. I just go public. Publicity is the best form of defence. It always has been, it always is. I have no secrets. I am who I say I am. You know, I know where this person lives. He knows where I live. The simple fact is that I would never actually cause physical harm to someone that I had an argument with, but this one would. This one is sufficiently evil to do that. So everything, absolutely everything, is going to go public. Okay, guys? Remember, this particular one who's a problem, his name is Paul Britton, and he lives in Wolverhampton in England. I have the full address. I think I even might have his phone number, you know. Autogynephilic transvestites. And they are definitely not nice people. They just aren't. They are really, really poisonous. And this is what I'm having to deal with at the moment, is the poison of AGP, because they all have a problem which is called narcissistic rage. There's nothing they wouldn't do. If they could kill you, they would. They absolutely would. These people are basically out of control. Some people think that having a gender recognition certificate means that you can't have your previous life exposed in public. That is not the case. The GRC does not protect you. The GRA does not protect you. Certainly in the past, these people would transition much later in life, and there is absolutely no hope of them passing. I mean, look at somebody like Eddie Izzard, or, you know, Paul Britton. I mean, it's absolutely hopeless. There's no way anybody's going to look at these people and say, oh, that's a woman. They're going to go, shit, that's a bloke in a dress. There you have it. The three things. Me being under threat, so I will continue to make things public, so that if anything happens to me, then they'll know where to look. This is uniquely the province of the AGP, and we need to actually say, look, there are two types of people here. Actually, there are maybe more than two, but never mind, there are two principal types. And one of them are legitimate transsexuals, and the other lot are just a bunch of cross-dressing men. I'm going to return here today to a little incident that, you know, it's an ongoing saga, actually, in which I have been the target of victimization by a seriously nasty autogynephilic male. Not really, you know, he's no longer a man because he's had his dick taken off. So, autogynephilic male, which has been going on for over a year now. I did nothing to cause this, by the way, as I explained before. All I did was, this person had been grooming me for nearly a year, or maybe even over a year, to no effect, because I thought it was all ridiculous. And then wanted me to assist him in basically mentally destroying one of his other groomees, whom he thought was not progressing fast enough into transition. Why could I possibly incriminate myself? By telling the truth. And it is the truth, Polsky. It is. It's all here. I've got all the emails, and they ain't going nowhere, buddy boy. This person would call me up on WhatsApp at least once a week, sometimes twice, and bore me stupid for sometimes 2 hours. I mean, you know, I needed a drink after it. It was just so utterly unbelievably boring. Sam would have nothing to do with him. She was like, screw this. This guy's a total freak. I don't want anything to do with it. And she was right. She was usually right, Sam, you know. Right, so then Paul Britton, that is his real name. Ray, your latest YouTube video about me. Is that all you got, you little maggot? You know, for all the criticism about my spelling, which by the way is appalling. Another word comes to mind when I think of you, and it rhymes with maggot. I believe it begins with an F. I mean, how pathetic can you get? This is the kind of stuff that goes on in playgrounds, school playgrounds. Anyway, I don't think you ever went to school. You really are a half-hearted little queer. But as you say, there's nothing wrong with being a queer, as long as we stay true to ourselves, right? And don't pretend to be straight when you're clearly anything but. I don't give a monkey's fuck what you think I am. Why would I? You're a nothing. You're a horrible autogynephilic man. Male, sorry, not really a man, because you had the dick cut off. And, you know, his picture is up here, so people can see what you're like. They'll recognise you in public, Paul. I said, you didn't have it in me. I said you didn't have it in me to character assassinate me. You can't even speak English. And I was correct. All you did was share one poorly taken photograph of me at an unflattering angle and ramble on about a grooming myth. No mention of the wicked rumours that have been stirred up against me regarding Kate at a Premier Inn. I'll tell you about that in a second, because that's all they are. Rumours. They're just rumours. And I would attempt to bring you down if you were to share such false allegations. Or my address, as you keep threatening. So, bitch boy, stop with the threat and give up while you're ahead. Well, let's start. Your address. I have your address here, and you live in Wolverhampton. You're a former employee of Wolverhampton Council, which I believe is some sort of city corporation, and you took early retirement. Now, as for the allegations, which were made by a person who at that time called himself Kate, he's not transsexual, he's a very confused young man, but that's a different thing. Paul Britton had been grooming him, encouraging him to transition, to become, more feminine. He's a pretty big guy, by the way, and had invited himself to meet Kate in this Premier Inn in Kate's hometown, which is about 100 miles from Wolverhampton. I don't need to give the details of where that is. So anyway, what happened was, let me see if I can improve the light just a little bit. Oh yeah, that's better. So what happened was, Kate gets to the Premier Inn, right? Meets up with Paul. They go to meet Kate's parents, and Kate's mother is absolutely horrified by this character. It's like creeped out totally, as you would be. I mean, he's a very creepy man. And they went back, according to Kate, to the Premier Inn, got into the room, and at this point, Paul Britton starts to undress, take all his clothes off. And Kate is like busy freaking out, going, what is going on here? I mean, Paul doesn't have a penis, so it's not like it's rape. So something else was in his perverted little mind. So the next thing that happens is he gets the underwear, and at this point, according to Kate, she fled the room. She ran away, and somehow got home. I don't know whether she was in her own car or took a taxi. But that's the allegations that he doesn't want me to tell you. So there you are. I told you. Don't fucking threaten me. Not ever. So he responds, you are an impish cretin, and let me tell you, you little sodomite, I am a woman, and I'm more of a man than you'll ever be. I'm still on good terms with Cat and Ash. Be warned, and rest in piss. And you can feel the rage. And I mean, if we're talking about hormones not having terrifically great effect, Paul, sometime you ought to look in a mirror, buddy boy. Anyway, it goes on. I suggest you delete your video about me on your blog post, Rod. I say this with utmost seriousness. It will be more damaging for you than it is for me. Think about this. So then we go on to, he sent me a little video clip of me walking down the street going to get some beer, which I do most days. I'll go and get a bottle of beer. I quite like a bottle of beer in the afternoon. As far as I remember, that ain't illegal. So anyway, one of these fuckers, who's obviously in cahoots with Sarah, because he doesn't like me, because I threw him out of the house. He laid hands on Sam when she was really sick, so I just flung him out. Gave him a forfarani, the bum's rush, and he don't like me no more, because I put hands on him and fucking threw him out the door. Leaving that aside. One of your friends sent me this video today. Now, Rod, ultimately, to be honest, I don't care what articles you write up on your crappy little blog, because no one reads it. I don't care. This is a threat. You see, what he's saying, what Paul is saying is that, oh, I know where you live. I can get my friends to come and hurt you. This is a threat. So, Paul, I know exactly where you live. Now everybody knows that you know where I live. So if anything happens to me, Paul, they're going to look on my website, and that's where they're going to find your address, because it's going up. Anyway, I do, however, care that you have my name slapped all over your YouTube channel, and it will stay there. And there is a chance my family and friends will see it. Why would you worry? You know, you have lived your life, as you know, is allegedly you have. Why would you be ashamed of it? What is wrong with you being on YouTube? Exposed, except if you're a monster, a groomer who has been getting away with it for a long time. Maybe you are. I'm not saying anything. I wouldn't indulge in defamation because I know the law. So screw you. You ain't getting away with that, pal. Buddy boy. So, this is my suggestion. Delete your YouTube video about me and do not mention my name again. And I'm mentioning it. Oh my God, I'm mentioning it. Paul Britton, Wolverhampton. Or all the allegations leveled against me, which I have just outlined to you. I hope this email reminds you of the power dynamic that exists between us. You being my subordinate, who's going to do what I say and not defame me anymore. Wishful fucking thinking, dear boy. I haven't defamed you. Reporting things that have been reported to me is not defamation. It's hearsay. You know, if you knew anything about law, you would know that these are not the same thing. I am simply repeating what has been told to me and also stating facts that I know did happen. If what I say is true, you are fucked, Paul. Paul Britton, Wolverhampton. I'm not subordinate to you. Don't worry about it. You have done enough damage. Why do you hate me so much? I don't hate you. I think you're just despicable. I think you're a horrible, horrible person. And I think that it is right and proper that you be exposed for being what you are, which is vile. I haven't made no threats. How could I threaten you? All I've done is tell the truth about you. If you see that as a threat, you have problems, buddy boy. By the way, I remember you have HIV. Now here's interesting, because this person hates me so much, for no reason, but hates me so much, that he wants me to have HIV so I will die a horrible death of AIDS. That's what he wants. He wants this. He desperately wants this with all the passion of his heart, his nasty black little heart. That, oh my God, please let him be sick. Please let him die. Let him die. Let him die. This is classic autogynephilic narcissistic rage. I'm unsure if it's full-blown AIDS or not. Well, I think you could tell looking at me. I ain't got AIDS. And just to clarify with everyone, Sam was suspected of having had HIV. So I had myself tested and I'm clear. I'm so sorry, Paul. I'm absolutely clear. I don't have HIV. I don't have... I was Hep A and B tested, and also... You can stop lying and give up the pretense that you somehow magically did not catch HIV of living with a HIV positive man. Well, see, that's what he thinks of Sam, who was a trans woman. See what we're talking about here? He's misgendering a genuine transsexual because, well, I don't know, probably because he's just evil, you know. Let's carry on. You ridiculous liar. Well, like I say, you know, I've had the tests, I'm fine. Why don't you tell your fans this? Well, I just did tell you I've had the tests and I'm clear. Perhaps I don't even have to worry about you going forward because the age will take care of you before you can bully and defame me anymore. But I'll tell you something, pal. You're going to wait a bloody long time for that because I ain't got any problem health-wise. Sorry. Not sorry. You know, who goes around wishing horrible disease and death on other people? Who is so deranged, whose lunacy is so developed, whose insanity is at this point that they would actually kill? They would wish death upon a person who's never done them any harm, just because, narcissistic rage. And I have it on very good authority. This person has actually attempted to take out a contract on me. I mean, in fact, there's the wankers out here. Give me a break. Anyway, oh yes, AIDS will take care of you before you can bully and defame me anymore. Truth is never defamation. Perfect defence against an allegation of defamation is the truth. You are fucked, my little boy. Still struggling to afford the medication, Roderick? I've never taken medication. Why would I? I don't have HIV. It's absolutely incredible. Pathetic. I think I know which one of us is the pathetic, actually. Bye for now.
That wraps up Rod Fleming Exposed Part 3. As I say, a lot of this is all allegations. I'm not making any allegations, other people are, and I've just documented it. You can all come to your own conclusions. I'm sure many of you already have. If you haven't seen the first 2 parts of this series, Rod Fleming Exposed Part 1 and 2, I'm going to be re-uploading Part 1 in the coming days, but definitely go check out Part 2. Believe me, this is an evil man we're dealing with, and someone had to shine a light on him. If you want to help get Rod deported from the Philippines, there is a legal intelligence division of Rod's Filipino city that I've been in correspondence with. However, it's gone silent, so definitely I'll leave an email for the police investigation team that's investigating Rod, and I suggest that you all email that email address and let them know what you think of Rod. I'll leave that email address down in the description. And if you appreciate my videos, please consider donating to my GoFundMe. Thank you all so much for all the support. We've hit 100 subscribers on the channel. Thank you all, and I wish you all nothing but the very, very best.
YouTube, you should listen to her. Because, you know, without actually saying so, she basically says, look, the anus is better anyway than the neo-vagina. So why go through all that trouble? You know, why do it? Enough for today. That's my position. And I will, in the future, always refer to this. I'll do a companion article. I'll refer to this because these are the facts. These are what I think. These are what I've always thought. I have never contradicted any of the positions I've taken in this video. Never. I mean, you could call me a groomer if you like. I don't give a monkey's fuck. Suck it up, buttercup. Bye. 2, 3. Hi, Rod Fleming here, and just a very quick, brief intermission here to remind you that I still do counselling for autogynephiles. Now, I don't prescribe
about it because it's not sex between 2 men with beards. It's not the sex between 2 adult men, you see. That's the crucial bit. It's the adult male bit. So, in a way, these cultures are actually reflecting exactly what we were seeing when we went, if we go back to what we're talking about in the Renaissance in Florence, where you had crowds of boys hanging around street corners trying to solicit older men, and what were they going to get? They were going to get, you know, comfortable night for the night. They'd probably be street kids otherwise. They're going to get fed, they were going to get a place to sleep, you know, and just a little bit of love and comfort, you know, which everybody needs. And so you see this today. You'll see this today if you're brave or foolhardy enough to go to a place like Pakistan. But there's many other places that you'll see it. I mean, it's not at all uncommon. The last time I was in the Philippines, I was sitting watching this young, very young gay guy prancing about, I mean, outrageous, in the street, dancing in between the jeepneys as they went back and forward, the jeepneys and the tricycles, and we were just having a laugh, you know, and eventually he came over, and it turned out he was 13, you know, and he was sexually active, and 13, you know, so I saw him subsequently, and he was with friends of his who I presume were in the same position as he was, and some of them would have been 9, you know. This whole thing is very common, right? The idea of the younger male and the older guy, and I mean that's who their sexual partners are. They're not having sex with each other. Now, I'm not saying, well, that's a good thing, that's a bad thing. Well, you can't. It's a different culture. And one reason for that is, for example, if we consider the gay society, within gay culture, and the new gay man society in the West, wait, stop. It's okay, I'm stop. I'll cut this down. Okay. You can come and sit on my knee and do something. Within New Gay Man society in the West, bisexuals are deeply mistrusted because the homosexual men who are their sexual targets usually, it's affirming for all of us, we're all affirmed by good sex, but in the autogynephilic transsexual case, they're being affirmed, it's the pseudo-personality that's being affirmed, not the real one. This is a very important difference because you will hear clearly autogynephilic transsexuals on all sorts of fora saying, oh gosh, I'm not really autogynephilic, because for some reason they're always in denial. Because of this reason, because they're attracted to men. Well, I'm sorry, that is not. Come here. And I want to introduce you to my girlfriend. Here she is. Come on. You sit down there.
What?
You say hello to the nice people on YouTube.
Hello.
This is Sam, and isn't Sam absolutely beautiful? You don't want to love her a bit. She's just gorgeous. Come, don't you be running over her. Yeah, it's good enough for you. It's next to her. And you say hello to the nice people. Now, where are you going now? Where are you going now, Sam?
Check the money.
You're going to go and do some business. But Sam's got a little business. So she's going to collect some cash.
Okay, Papa.
Give me a kiss. Look, go on. Catch you later, okay? I'll wind up. Right, okay folks, that's it, that's all.
That's it. Why you rape me? No, you're not saying.
Yes, I certainly used to occasionally. It did not something I did all the time, but yeah, occasionally you would. If you're sleeping as spoons and you're both naked, obviously, and she would always be in front. Yeah, your hand kind of falls naturally on that place, and there's something there to hold, so you hold it. I don't think that really means anything, but you can think what you like. I think that the insecurity is coming from the other side here, quite honestly. And another autogynephilic person by the name of Jackson Stokes, aka Jack Deep Channel. Jackson Stokes is definitely autogynephilic. He said to me that he likes to dress up as Marilyn Monroe, lie on the bed and penetrate himself with a dildo, a vibrating dildo. So, no denial is possible.